Hello and welcome to part three of the root of autism. Today we're talking about the effects of socialization. Okay? We're talking about why socialization is so hard for people with autism. Okay? So, for part one, we talked about sensory overload. We broke that down. For part two, we talked about oversensitivities. And today we're talking about socialization. So, every autism parent with a child with autism, we're concerned that our child doesn't have any friends. We're so upset about it. There's a lot to be concerned about. But one of the biggest things, one of our priorities is like, well, I want my child to have friends, right? We'll take our child to the playground, everybody's playing with each other, and our child is over off to the side, playing in the sand, on the swing alone. We want our kids to be incorporated with everybody else's kid, okay? A cousin has a birthday party. We take our kid to the birthday party, and everybody's playing together, and our child is playing alone. Okay. Our child is in a classroom setting, and even if our child gets invited to the birthday party of the classmate and they go, they're not really interacting with the kids. Why can't our children make friends? Let's talk about it, okay? Socialization. For many people with autism, social interactions don't come naturally. Here are some of the core social challenges your child might face. Difficulty interpreting nonverbal cues, such as facial expressions, tone of voice, and body language. We talked a little bit about this. Challenges with conversation flow, like knowing when to speak, how to stay on topic, or recognizing sarcasm in jokes. I told you about how Hassan struggles with jokes and sarcasm. We have to explain to him we're just Hassan, we're just joking. Calm down. We're just joking, silly. Come on, right? Rigid thinking, which may make it hard for them to understand another person's point of view. Perspective taking, okay? So they think what they think because it's the way they think it, their vantage point. And someone else will have another idea and they're like, nope, 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 it's like this. Yeah, it makes it hard to be able to interact with someone whenever they think the way they think and their way is right no matter what because this is the way they see it, right? Literal interpretation of language, which can lead to confusion in nuanced or casual conversations. So it makes conversations awkward, right? And so they have a hard time interacting with others and making friends, which can be really upsetting and complicated for parents even if your child's a teenager. Hassan didn't have his first real friend until he got to the end of high school, in which case he was like old here in Atlanta, and he had been friends with this friend for like 5 years until into college until his friend graduated. Like friends like his friend would come over to our house and he would go over to his friend's house and they would have overnight visits, and they would stay the night and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, let's go, I'm invited to your birthday and this, that, and the other. He didn't have friends like that until like he was like old, like 19. So I want you to consider this also. Since people with autism have heightened sensitivities, they can often feel the emotions of others around them. Have you considered that? The problem is that since many times their own emotions and sensory overloads cause them difficulty with processing and understand their own they have problems understanding their own emotions. So whenever they take on the emotions of other people, it causes even more difficulty. Does that make sense? It becomes intensely overwhelming when the heightened emotions of others enter into their own space. So let me give you an example. Hassan had a job for 2.5 years, okay? And he would go to work, and a coworker, there was this little girl his age, he thought was cute. And he would be looking for her every time he was at work. And he would be excited and happy to see her. And if he saw her and he'd be like, "Hey there," and she was like, "Hi, how are you?" He'd be like, "Oh, are you okay?" "Yeah, no, I'm fine. Something happened this morning." He would be angry for the rest of the day. And he would struggle with doing his own job. And I'd be like, "Sir, don't get her, don't allow her emotions to get you fired at your job because you can't do your job because you took on her emotions." Now he's struggling with his own emotions because he took on her emotions. He does this all the time. Let me tell you what else he does. This isn't in my notes. Let me tell you what he does. He'll do this thing where I'll say, "Hey Hassan," like I'll be downstairs and he'll be in his room and I'll say, "Hey Hassan, come see me." And I'll say, "Hey, did you remember to whatever whatever?" And he'll say something like, "No, mom, I forgot to do such and such, but it was because such and such, such and such." And I'll say, "Oh, well, okay, well, I still need you to do whatever." And he'll say, "Well, I know you're upset, but mom, you need to." I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. Don't talk to me about my emotions." He'll already decide that I'm upset, and so then he'll be upset. I'm just trying to have a conversation with you about what needs to happen. But he'll decide that I'm upset, so then he'll automatically take on the upset emotion. I'm like, "Sir, you," and now you're just automatically upset. So then, because now he's upset, now he's acting out with his upset behaviors. Yeah, it's a real thing. It's why they struggle so much in crowded places because there are so many people around them. They can feel the emotions of people, or they interpret the emotions of people around them. Just like he'll interpret angry emotions from me if even if I'm not angry. It's why they struggle with new people. They don't know this person, they're not familiar with this person. They will make a judgment about a new person and it confuses them. And it's especially why they are experiencing sensory overload. So that's, yeah, a lot of why socialization is hard for them. Let's talk about multitasking. I know they keep saying that multitasking isn't a real thing. Have you heard that? Like lately, like in the last couple of years, they're like, "No, multitasking isn't really a real thing. You can't do two or more things at one time. People, multitasking is a myth. You can't multitask." I don't agree. I don't agree. I think we multitask all the time. At least our brain does. Why would I say that? You can walk, chew gum, and talk on the phone at the same time. You're walking down the street. It's a beautiful spring day outside today. The sun is shining. There's a soft breeze. It feels good outside. You can walk down the street, chew gum, talk on the phone, feel that warm breeze, smell the fresh trees and the fresh cut grass all at the same time. You are multitasking. Your brain is multitasking while you can feel the sun. Feels good. Okay? Driving. Tell me you're not multitasking when you're driving. Okay? While you're driving with your feet and your hands and you're looking in your mirrors and you notice this guy over here in your blind spot and you're waiting for him to pass you because you need that lane, but this guy over here is trying to get around you. You don't know what he's doing, and the guy in front of you, he looks like he wants to turn right, but he has his left turn signal on, but you don't know what's going on, and the guy behind you is riding your bumper, but you know you're multitasking. Multitasking. Don't tell me there's no such thing as multitasking. People with autism struggle with multitasking, especially in social settings. Let me tell you why. You're at a restaurant. They have to be able to sit at the table while keeping quiet, using good manners, following restaurant rules and instructions. There are restaurant rules that you have to follow at the restaurant that you don't necessarily have to follow at home. Think about it. Okay? They have to deal with the sensory overload in the restaurant. We talked about sensory overload in part 1. Yeah. Okay? They have to deal with background chatter, the overhead music at the restaurant. There's always like some soft music playing. Dishes are clanking in the background. Doors are opening and closing. Low lighting, and then there's some highlighting around the edges. Waiters are walking by behind them. Various food smells. The fabric on their chair. People are talking at the table behind them. There's a lot going on. They struggle with multitasking. And as a parent, you're wondering why your child is squirming, they're all over the place, you can't get them to sit still, and you're asking them to please settle down. You just want to get through dinner. And you want them to just be able to get through dinner. Like, dinner's not going to take that long. We just, please, Bobby, I just need a good hour at dinner. We haven't been out as a family in a while. Just sit still. But there's a lot going on. It's hard to be in this social setting because of what you learned in the last 2 days about sensitivities and sensory overload. There's a lot. So how do we build positive socialization? Introduce new people slowly. Okay? Let it be a quiet environment. Remember, you want to introduce new stimuli one at a time. Don't introduce a new person in a noisy, environment. Introduce a new person in a quiet setting, in a familiar environment. Try to create positive interactions, calm, smiles, not so close up. You sit over there, I'll sit over here, introduce them. No touching, that kind of thing. Identify overwhelm and make adjustments. Sometimes it's not just the person. A lot of times, has that happened to you? You introduce your child to a person and they act out or they act funny and you're thinking, oh, they don't like this person. It may not be the person. It may be the color the person has on. It might be, I don't know, maybe grandma or the auntie that they came in contact with gave them a hug, but the auntie had on a really strong perfume and it irritated their noses, sense of smell. You don't know what it was. Maybe Uncle so and so gave them a hug and his woolly shirt brushed up against his cheek and it may not be the person. Now you're aware of these kinds of things and you can identify triggers, okay? And lastly, don't forget to teach them. So just because you know what the triggers are, you want to be able to teach them by helping them identify the triggers. Again, your child has the ability to learn. They learned how to walk. They learned how to this. They learned how to that. So you want to be able to teach them. Help them to identify their emotions regarding a thing. Oh, okay, I see that you're upset. These lights are too bright for you. Here, let's help me turn the lights off. Help me to, turn this music down because it's bothering your ears, isn't it? Okay, that's why you're upset. Let's go turn the music down. Explain to them what's happening to them. Explain to them. Teach them. Help them to regulate their own emotions by understanding why and where it comes from and what the root is. Okay? I hope this helps. Next, in the Root of Autism series, part 4, it's called The Chemical Effect. And in this series, I will explain to you how I discovered the root of autism, how I discovered it. And I'll tell you my story and where this whole thing even came from and why it worked for my son. Okay? Thanks for watching. See you next time.